Forget the fraud. Forget the widespread irregularity. A group of Republicans are filing a lawsuit on constitutional grounds, which could have the effect of granting some Republican victories and maybe even making Pennsylvania go to Donald Trump. Now, that's a bold claim and a bold leap because it's not there in the argument. It's not about Trump at all. What we're seeing is that Republicans are saying vote by mail is unconstitutional. And in order to implement it, they would need an amendment, a constitutional amendment, because it's an end run around absentee ballot restrictions. In the event they actually win, assuming they do, it could then be said that the mail-in votes in the presidential election don't count either in Pennsylvania and Donald Trump could win. How dumb is it that we're still at this point where it's like, here's how Donald Trump could still win? Okay, fine. But they're actually suing. So come on, don't get mad at me. Trump could still win. It's true. I know a lot of people get mad when I say I don't think it's likely, but even some of Trump's staunchest supporters, which I am not, I voted for the guy. I want him to win. I'm not going to go wear a MAGA hat and march around or anything like that. But there's a lot of people who are, and they're even saying it seems slim. But, I mean, they're tweeting about it. They want Trump to fight tooth and nail to the bitter end, even if it is unlikely. And I can respect that. But this might be his path to Pennsylvania. Check this out. Matt Maisel. He is a dad and husband, Fox 43 Mornings. I had to put the dad and husband thing. Well, he said it. He says, a group of 8 Republicans, including Congressman Mike Kelly and PA 17 candidate Sean Parnell, are suing the GOP majority PA General Assembly, Governor Tom Wolf, and Secretary of State Kathy Boockvar, claiming Act 77, which allowed for mail-in voting, is unconstitutional. Whoa, wait a minute. Isn't there something, I was reading about something called latches, which says that you have to present your arguments in a timely manner. You can't wait until after you've already lost the election and then be like, but wait, those votes aren't allowed. They're under the Constitution. Shouldn't they have sued before all of this went down? Because Sean Parnell did lose in his district to Connor Lamb. If these ballots get kicked out, Sean Parnell wins. I'm not going to pretend to be a legal scholar, so maybe there's something I don't know, and maybe they had to wait until after for some reason, whatever. Let's read. Matt Maisel says, Act 77 passed with majority Republican support in a GOP-controlled legislature in 2019. It allowed for mail-in voting and eliminated straight party ticket ballots. It passed the House 138 to 61 with only one GOP no vote. It passed the Senate 30 to 20 with all GOP voting yes. Conspiracy theory time. You ready for this? The Republicans passed the mail-in voting knowing they were creating a trap. You see, many Democrats would feel scared to vote in person, but they would vote in person if they had to. By creating mail-in voting, all the Democrats walked over to the mail-in voting line and then boom, just when the race seems to be done, Donald Trump loses and the Republicans lose, they say, hey, wait a minute. This is not constitutional. Sorry, all those mail-in votes have to go. And then what? New election? No election? I don't know. I'm not actually alleging they did it on purpose. I actually think there's a lot of rhinos that don't like Donald Trump. So they probably were just like, whatever, we'll get rid of the guy, right? I don't know. There's no evidence of a conspiracy, but it is, if it plays out well, would actually be a crazy scenario. In the lawsuit filed this morning in Commonwealth Court, plaintiffs say Act 77 is unconstitutional and implemented illegally. They argue it's an illegal attempt to override limitations on absentee voting and needed to go through a constitutional amendment first. Plaintiffs in lawsuit say the certification of the election, which Joe Biden is currently leading by 80,000 in a race for president, and which Rep. Kelly won and Mr. Parnell lost, should be prohibited. Interestingly, Mike Kelly won. So why would he negate this race or prohibit these ballots? Maybe they're hoping that mail-in ballots are just kicked out and then Parnell wins and then Trump wins. But it's possible they just void the race and say, OK, we'll have a special election. And that could put Mike Kelly at risk, I guess. Said here is the complaint introduction from the Commonwealth Court. Says last night on CNN, former PA Rep. Charlie Dent said sources told him incoming PA Senate Pro Temp Jake Corman and Pennsylvania House Speaker Rep. Brian Cutler were going to meet with Donald Trump. Both Corman and Cutler Spocks tell me they are not going to the White House and haven't been invited. Update. The petitioners in this lawsuit, Kelly, Parnell et al., apparently have not properly filed the lawsuit and have until Monday at 10 a.m. to properly file with PA Attorney General Josh Shapiro. So that is the latest update, but we do have a statement from Sean Parnell himself. Now, you may know I had him on my IRL podcast. I think he's a good dude. I've donated to him. So we'll see how things play out, but take that into consideration. Just full disclosure. Parnell says, constitutional elections are the core of our democratic republic, which is why it's so important that our elections follow the letter of Pennsylvania's constitution. I am asking the court to ensure that happens in 2020 and beyond. Listen, I donated to Sean Parnell. I like the guy. I think he's a good dude, and I think he's the right choice. And I will be self-critical of donating to congressional districts that I don't live in. I don't live there. I don't live in Pittsburgh. So I'm not a fan of that. I've criticized it before, so I deserve some criticism for then donating to individuals in places in which I don't live. But I saw his viral video talking about what he cared about. I saw Sean Parnell's video talking about Antifa and the mobs and the violence and stuff like that. And I said, this guy needs support. It's a challenge in that I don't like people doing things like this. But if I sit back and do nothing while the likes of AOC or others get massive donations, well, then we know how things are going to play out. So it's a double-edged sword, I suppose. That being said, I'm going to say it again. Okay, as much as I like the guy, there's some criticism to go around for waiting until after the election. Because if he won, would he be suing? Maybe not. But to be fair, as I often say, and maybe too much, Mike Kelly is. So maybe they would have still filed the lawsuit anyway. Doesn't it make more sense to file the suit before and say you can't do this? Either way, here's the statement. Sean Parnell has filed this lawsuit to demand that our future elections in the 2020 election are conducted in a manner prescribed by the Constitution and of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That did not happen in 2020, and it is imperative for the court to intervene and prescribe a remedy that will cure the unconstitutional nature of the 2020 election without disenfranchising those that mailed in their votes based on the unconstitutional law. Okay. So maybe I was totally wrong. Maybe this won't change the outcome of the election at all. They say specifically Article 7 of that Constitution sets out how elections are to be conducted in our state. And it details the time, place, and manner for how votes are to be cast. Included in Article 7, Section 14, are the requirements for what constitutes a legal absentee vote. Unfortunately, the Pennsylvania legislature disregarded Article 7, Section 14, when it created universal mail-in voting by bypassing Act 77, which was then signed by Governor Wolf. This was not only an unconstitutional act by the legislature and the governor in creating a whole new time, place, and manner for voting, but it also created an unfair expectation among those casting votes pursuant to the new universal mail-in ballot law that they would be exercising their right to vote in a constitutional manner. Quote, Sean Parnell has spent his life serving this great country and protecting its institutions and values, which include the fundamental right to constitutionally authorized elections, to choose our federal and state representatives and officers. Changing the results of the election is not the goal of this lawsuit. Rather, it is to ensure that this election and any future election be conducted in accordance with the Pennsylvania Constitution and is not subject to the whims of political operators in Harrisburg, more concerned with power of politicians than the power of the people. Okay, well, they've said twice they don't want to disenfranchise voters. And I can respect that, but I have to ask, what's the legal remedy in this case? I don't yet know what they're asking for, but perhaps it is in their complaint. Though I don't have it pulled up, I don't know what the remedy or injunctive relief would be. They say, plaintiffs, the Honorable Mike Kelly, Sean Parnell, Thomas A. Frank, Nancy Kierzik, Derek McGee, Robin Sauter, and Wanda Logan hereby files the following complaint against defendants, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in support thereof as follows. And they basically go on to give the gist of what we already said. So you have the general idea of what they're suing. They say they're going to have to refile. So that I don't have the full suit pulled up for that particular reason, but it seems like they're going to be moving forward with that. And that's the case. They improperly filed. So we'll see how that plays out. But here's the big picture. Donald Trump needs a path to victory in Pennsylvania. If they rule that these mail-in votes were unconstitutional, Donald Trump could actually win. Maybe not win. Maybe they won't disenfranchise those voters who voted by mail. Maybe they'll have to do a curing process, but maybe it will delay certification. And that's all that matters. If this is ruled unconstitutional, Joe Biden won't get those electoral college votes. I can't believe I'm having this conversation. I'm sorry, I just got to say it. It seems absolutely nuts to think this could actually happen. Wisconsin's already calling for an audit and challenging. We've got the Arizona governor saying he won't accept the results if there's a pending lawsuit. And now we've got Pennsylvania with this lawsuit that that seems like it could jam up certification. Contingent election, anyone? This is probably the best argument I've seen that could help Trump. Why? Well, it seems likely. If you violated the Constitution, this is not a fraud claim. It's not irregularity. It's literally you violated the Constitution. Sorry, can't have it. And then Donald Trump wins. I don't know, man. I know the left is going to be like, Tim's crazy. He thinks all these crazy things. But I will tell you this, lefties. All right. You putting those clips up of me saying that Donald Trump would win in a landslide from like earlier in the year? What? Oh, you just wait. Because in the astronomical event that Donald Trump somehow pulls off a triple hat trick in these states, I'm going to play that crab dancing song back at you. Although it's not really what I meant back in the day. But, several months ago when I was like, I think this will lend itself to a Donald Trump landslide victory. We'll see how things play out. I don't think Trump's going to win. I don't. But, he's inching forward, huh? This is not Trump. Trump is not doing this. But it might help him. I'll leave it there. Got a couple more segments coming up in a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.